betrayal arrived not with a shout or a slammed door, but with a smirk. A quiet, venomous curl of the lips that told me everything. We were on the patio, the late spring air thick and sweet with the scent of blooming jasmine. Maren held a glass of Pinot Noir, her posture as flawless and curated as the garden surrounding us. I had finally gathered the courage to ask the question that had been a hollow ache in my chest for months. "Are you seeing someone else?" For a beat, the world stopped. The fireflies blinking in the bushes, the distant hum of traffic. Everything fell silent. She swirled her wine, her eyes distant, and then a slow, deliberate smile blossomed on her face. It was not a smile of denial, nor was it one of genuine amusement. It was the condescending grin of a predator who had just spotted its trapped prey. In that single, sickening moment, all the unspoken truths of our marriage screamed into the open. The late nights, the cryptic texts, the way she had grown distant and secretive, it all coalesced into a brutal, undeniable clarity. That smile wasn't a confession. It was a victory lap. A taunt. I didn't react. I didn't yell. There were no tears, no dramatic outbursts. I simply nodded, the gesture a silent acknowledgement of her cold-blooded game. I rose from my chair, the sudden movement a disruption in our carefully constructed tableau, and walked back into the house. I left her there, alone in the fading light, victorious in a battle she thought she had won. But she was wrong. She hadn't won anything yet. She had merely handed me the key to my own liberation. Seated at the kitchen counter, I crafted my revenge. It wouldn't be loud or violent. It would be an exquisite, silent unraveling. Her annual charity gala was in 3 days, her pride and joy, her stage for displaying her beauty, power, and connections. She had no idea I was about to dismantle her world brick by brick. My first call wasn't to a lawyer or a private investigator. It was to a woman I hadn't spoken to in years, someone who had once made Maren's carefully constructed confidence waver, someone who owed me a favor. That night, while Maren sipped her wine and celebrated her twisted triumph under the stars, I sent a single, simple text. My own smile was slow and deliberate. It was the smile of a man who was about to flip the chessboard while his opponent was admiring a captured pawn. And that was just the beginning. The woman I texted was named Celine Az. The name itself felt like a poem, a prophecy. She was elegance and chaos, beauty and trouble, all wrapped into one. Years ago, before Marine, before the carefully planned life and the slow-burning disillusionment, Celine and I had shared a fleeting, intense connection. It was one of those rare, powerful almosts that never became a reality, but the memory of it lingered. A phantom limb I never forgot. We were the kind of people who could go years without a word, and then, when our paths finally crossed, pick up the conversation as if no time had passed at all. Her reply arrived within minutes, not a question, but a statement of unwavering loyalty. "Tell me when, Logan." The next 3 days felt like a tightrope walk over a chasm. Maren was a study in deception, her life a tapestry of half-truths. She was out late, her phone a constant, glowing presence under the table at dinner, her lies becoming more threadbare and desperate. She was constructing her little fantasy, completely unaware that I was, at the same time, constructing the moment that would bring it all crashing down. The night of the gala arrived. I watched from the bedroom doorway, feigning indifference, as Maren spent 2 hours transforming herself. She slipped into a midnight blue dress that seemed to drink the light, her hair and makeup perfect, a masterpiece of control and glamour. "Don't be late," she said, her smile a familiar, smug curve. "I wouldn't miss it for the world," I replied, my voice a whisper of steel that she was too self-absorbed to hear. We arrived separately. Maren, with her entourage of admirers, was the undisputed star of the evening, a shimmering supernova surrounded by a cloud of lesser lights. I waited until the main hall was a sea of glittering socialites, 100 conversations bubbling under the crystal chandeliers. Then I walked in with Celine on my arm. The effect was instantaneous and absolute. It was like a wave of silence washing over the room, The conversations stuttered and died. Heads turned as one, and all eyes landed on us. Marin, standing by the stage, her face a mask of effortless power, saw me, and in her eyes, for the first time, I saw not a smirk, but a flicker of pure, unadulterated fear. It wasn't because Selene was more beautiful. Though she was, with an effortless grace Moran could never hope to replicate. It was because Moran realized that in that single shattering moment, she had been dethroned. She had become invisible. Selene leaned in and whispered a joke that made me laugh, the sound loud and genuine in the suddenly quiet room. We moved through the crowd like two tectonic plates shifting the landscape, and no matter how hard Marin tried to reclaim the spotlight with her forced laughter and exaggerated smiles, it was gone. This wasn't revenge in the traditional sense. It was a message, a brutal, elegant pronouncement that I had seen everything, understood everything, and now no longer cared. But what Marin didn't know was that this was only the first shot. The real storm hadn't even begun to form. The air in the gala hall thickened with a palpable tension. Marin's desperate glances followed us, her composure slowly fracturing. Selene, a master of this silent war, didn't have to be loud or flashy. She simply existed in a way that made everyone else, especially Marin, appear dull. Conversations gravitated toward us. Champagne was offered without us asking. The host of the evening, a major donor, approached our table and introduced himself to Selene, never once acknowledging Marin, who stood just a few feet away, her carefully crafted image of power and influence dissolving with every passing second. The final public blow landed when Marin, her face a tight mask of disbelief and rage, tried to give her opening speech. Her voice, usually so strong and magnetic, wavered under the pressure of dozens of eyes darting between her and Selene. Every stutter, every awkward pause, was a crack in her carefully constructed facade. I stood at the back with Selene, a hand resting casually on her back, and watched. I felt no anger, only a profound sense of detachment. She had lost me the moment she had smiled that smug smile. After her speech, Moran finally made her way to us. "I see you've brought a guest," she hissed, her voice dripping with a sugary venom. I smiled. "You remember Selene, don't you?" Selene, with a polite, almost mocking gesture, extended her hand. Moran ignored it. "You're making a scene," she whispered. I leaned in, my voice low and dangerous. "No, Moran, you made the scene the moment you decided you were too good for honesty." She flinched, the words striking her like a physical blow. Selene, sensing that the public part of the performance was over, excused herself, leaving us alone in a bubble of suffocating tension. "You're going to regret this," Marin seethed. "I already regret wasting years pretending you were someone you're not," I replied, and with a slow, deliberate turn of my back, I walked away. In that moment, she had become invisible. But the true consequences were still waiting just around the corner. The gala eventually ended. Selene and I left early, the damage done, the message delivered. The next morning, the real game began. For weeks, a private investigator, a man so discreet he was practically a ghost, had been gathering information for me. Financial records, secret bank accounts, messages she thought were deleted, hotel reservations under fake names. It was a dossier of her deceit, cold and irrefutable. Just after 10 a.m., an elegant white envelope arrived at our house with a single flash drive inside. I wasn't there to see her reaction. I had already packed a single bag and checked into a downtown hotel, content to imagine the color draining from her face, the frantic scrolling through files, the sickening realization that she was no longer the one pulling the strings. By noon, my phone was a symphony of her desperation, a cascade of calls from her number, then her sister's, then our mutual friends. I let them all ring into the void. Instead, I ordered room service, opened the window to the city's noise, and savored a rare, pure feeling, Freedom. My lawyer confirmed that Marin had been served with airtight divorce papers. Thanks to the evidence, she wouldn't be walking away with half of what she expected. She wouldn't have the house. She wouldn't have her reputation. The truth was already beginning to circulate in the circles that mattered. But the final blow, the one that would make everything real, was still to be delivered in person. 2 days after the gala, after the endless voicemails filled with fake remorse and desperate bargaining, I texted Marin a simple message. Meet me at the conservatory at 3 p.m. Come alone. The conservatory, an old glass house at the edge of the city park, was a place we used to go when we were still pretending to be happy. It felt timeless, she once told me, a place where nothing bad could happen. How fitting that it would become the place where time finally ran out for her. She was already there when I arrived, pacing nervously in a fitted black coat. For the first time since I had known her, Marin didn't look composed. She looked lost. She rushed toward me, her heels clattering on the old stone path. "Logan, please," she started, her voice trembling. "We can fix this. Whatever you think you know, it's not what it looks like." I let her talk, her excuses and half-confessions flowing like a broken dam. It might have been convincing if I hadn't already seen the evidence myself. When she finally ran out of air, I pulled a slim folder from my jacket and handed it to her. "These are the final divorce agreements," I said, my voice flat. "Everything has been arranged." She took the folder, her hands shaking, and flipped through the pages. "This isn't fair," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Neither was lying for years," I replied, shrugging. Genuine tears spilled down her cheeks now, but they couldn't move me. Watching her fall apart wasn't satisfying. It was just inevitable. "I made a mistake," she sobbed. "I thought I needed more." I tilted my head. "Now you have exactly what you wanted. Freedom." She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. "You lost me the night you smiled, Marin. That was when you chose yourself over us." I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I simply turned and walked away, not looking back as she called my name. Behind me, the grand glass dome of the conservatory shimmered in the afternoon sun, trapping her inside a memory she could never escape. The days that followed were a strange kind of peace. The silence was not deafening, but clean, like standing in a house stripped of furniture. I moved into a small loft on the other side of the city, embracing the purity of starting over with nothing but a few suitcases and my name. Marin tried to use guilt, then anger, then blame to get to me, but I didn't answer. I knew she wasn't sorry for what she had done, only for getting caught. Celine, without me asking, made a few quiet phone calls in her high circles. Marin's contracts dried up. Invitations vanished. Doors quietly closed. It wasn't a public scandal, just a slow-motion unraveling. One evening, I sat at a rooftop bar, a picture message from Celine buzzing on my phone. It was a candid shot of a networking event Marin hadn't been invited to. In the background, you could see her standing outside, clutching her purse, her expression a mixture of rage and despair as she realized she wasn't getting in. Invisible. I put the phone away, finished my whiskey, and let the night wash over me. I wasn't celebrating her downfall. I was simply a witness to the consequences she had written for herself. The final moment, the one that would leave her truly alone, came sooner than I expected. I was at a small private gathering at the Harper estate. Marin, once a fixture at such events, was now a ghost no one spoke about. Then I saw her. She wasn't a guest. She was outside near the valet, arguing with a minor executive. She was thinner, her proud shoulders collapsed. When she saw me, she came straight for me, across the manicured lawn. "Logan, please," she whispered, her voice cracked. For a second, I remembered the woman I had once loved, but memory is a dangerous thing. It makes you forget the sharp edges you bled on. You don't belong here, I said evenly. I know, she replied, but I don't know where else to go. It was the confession she would never have made under other circumstances. The performance was over. The stage had collapsed. You chose this, I said, looking her straight in the eye. Every lie, every betrayal. You chose it all. She tried to speak, but I stopped her. I'm not here to hate you, Marin. I'm here to let you go. Her face crumpled, quietly, as she realized she was truly alone. I stepped past her, walking toward the house without looking back. The valet was already moving to escort her off the property. The final thread snapped. I didn't feel victory. I felt peace. She had made herself invisible, and now, finally, I was free, was.